Marine Corps has been shaken by the sex for secret scandal at the United States Embassy in Moscow. After a week of silence, the Commandant of the Marine Corps spoke out, saying the proud history of Marines should not be tarnished by the actions of a few members of the Corps. Hampton Pearson in our Washington Bureau has the story.
At a crowded Pentagon news conference, embattled Marine Corps Commandant General P.X. Kelly spoke out for the first time on the sex for secret scandal involving Marine guards at the Moscow embassy.
I think that the first reaction of all Marines to this was, as mine, one of shock and disbelief. And then I think it was one of anger. Mine was. That anyone could let down the image of the institution. We're a very close-knit organization. It borders on with us being a religion.
Former Moscow Embassy guard Sergeant Clayton Lonetree is one of 2 Marines charged with espionage. But General Kelly said he could not rule out the possibility that more Marines may be arrested and that Marines may be implicated in security problems at other embassies. Kelly said the Departments of Defense and Justice have joined forces in the widening probe.
We just need more to make sure we run every single thread of evidence down to the last stop.
The Marine Commandant found himself in an awkward position. He was asking the public not to judge the proud history of the Marine Corps by the alleged actions of a few not-so-good men.
And the real question that we must ask ourselves is, how do you weigh the sacrifice made by over 250,000 Marines who have been killed or wounded in the service of their country against the alleged acts of a few?
General Kelly will be stepping down as Marine Commandant this summer. In Washington, Hampton Pearson for New England Sunday.
To give us some insight into life as a Marine and into the reactions of Marines in our area to this scandal, we're joined this morning by Major Larry Welker, Commanding Officer of Recruiting Services for Connecticut and Western Massachusetts. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, good morning.
The phrase, to keep our honor clean, part of the Marine hymn, is that tarnished by this scandal?
Well, you know, the Marine Corps has been around for 211 years now. There's been many thousands of Marines that have worn this uniform, and then there's another many 100,000 wearing the uniform now. The traditions and the honor that have been established is not going to be blemished at this point with the wrongdoings of a few. And so, no, the keep our honor clean is still well intact.
Pride is such a strong part of being a Marine. Do you take things like this personally as a Marine?
Any Marine gets angered when a Marine is in the news for something wrong. Right now, I would say the Marines and the Marine Corps is sitting back watching the investigation and waiting for the facts to be found out.
As a recruiter, has there been any local effect to this? The men coming through,
Sure.
men and women coming through your offices, ready to enlist, have they asked any different questions?
No, I've been asked that same question a number of times now, and I spend an awful lot of time on the road visiting on my recruiting stations, and of course, recruiting is our mission, and we would be concerned if there was any effect on recruiting, but we haven't had that question asked, and there hadn't been really any bump in the numbers of people who were putting in at all.
As a recruiting officer, you know a lot about the different duties that are out there, possibly on the horizon for
Sure.
young men enlisting. How does one become an embassy guard?
Sure. First of all, he's probably served in the Marine Corps for a minimum of 2 to 3 years. Lance Corporal. He has to be a volunteer, has to be an American citizen. He is screened very closely at his unit level. And then if he's met the very stringent screening, then he'll be sent on to Quantico, Virginia for Marine Security Guard School. A rigorous 6 weeks worth of training, and you know, the screening process continues. Not everyone gets through the school. So I'd say the bottom line is he has to be a volunteer, he has to be an American citizen, and he has to get through the screening process.
What is the duty like? What are the conditions that might, again, we don't know that the allegations
Sure.
are true, but what are the types of things that could lead to something like this?
You know, I have never served as a part of an embassy guard, so I can't really qualify myself to answer that. I could make assumptions about, you know, stressfulness and loneliness and this, that, and the other the same way that we can read in the press, but I haven't served on the duty, and so I really can't provide you personal insight.
What's going to happen to the men? Who's investigating, and do you want it to stay in the hands of the Marines?
Well, I don't think it's necessarily Marine Corps choice right now from the aspect of where the investigations go. We have the Naval Investigative Service that's investigating. We have the Justice Department now, as the Commandant said. The State Department's investigating, so there's a number of investigations. And I think the investigations need to run their course, and the Marine Corps is sitting back and watching, letting the investigations gain the facts.
There have been a few setbacks to the Marines in the last decade. How has the Corps responded to, for instance, the tragedy in Beirut? Have there been changes made to prevent something like that happening again, where a lot of men were in one place and died seemingly so needlessly?
Well, I think in any situation where we have Marines who lose their life in a combat environment, a la Beirut, there's always lessons to be learned. Marines don't like to see their fellow Marines fall, and you know there's always an effort to improve our training, improve our readiness, and to do those things to prevent loss of Marine Corps life. I really, can't say that there's been any real changes. I know that we spend an awful lot of time practicing our trade, and we're continually seeking to do our trade better.
I believe Grenada was the first time there was an amphibious assault by the Marines since Korea.
That is probably accurate, except for maybe some smaller operations during the Vietnam War, but yes.
Is there a problem keeping morale, keeping the striking force disciplined when you're at peace?
No, not at all. In fact, the reason for the Marine Corps is, in fact, to maintain the peace. We are a force in readiness. We know that at any given time the President could direct one of our Marine amphibious units to have to respond to a world crisis somewhere, and so the concept of readiness, the concept of first to fight, is what makes us the United States Marine Corps, and we're good at it.
Are young men and women joining the Marines for the same reasons you did?
I'm convinced they are. It's not easy to become a Marine. You have to earn this title of United States Marines, or as a United States Marine. The screening process is a thorough screening process at the recruiting level, but even when he goes to recruit training, he's referred to as a recruit. He has to earn the title of Marine at recruit training. One of the things that we tell young men and women who are interested in joining the Corps is that they have to earn that title, and we also tell them that no one can talk them into becoming a Marine. As it turns out, we've been doing very well now for a number of years on Marine recruiting, and they're joining for the right reasons. They want to serve their country. They want to partake in the pride and the challenge that is part and parcel with being a United States Marine.
As a last word, who are the Marines today?
The United States Marines are made up of a group of men and women who are highly dedicated, professional, are very proud of who they are and the traditions that have been established for them, and are committed to maintaining those traditions in the future.
Well, thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you.
Next up on New England.